Hi guys, and welcome to Console's summer release webinar. I'm Matt McGowan, I'm the Chief Product Officer here at Console, and with me is TJ, our Senior Product Manager for Console Cloud.
Good morning, everyone.
Guys, we're really excited. This is our 11th quarterly webinar. We've got a real action-packed demonstration for you today. There are a lot of you online, so just a few housekeeping rules. Down the bottom right-hand corner, you'll find your Q&A button. This is meant to be interactive. We want your questions. We've actually got our product team in another room as part of our COVID protocols, and they'll be answering your questions as they come in. So if there's something you like or there's something you want a bit more information about, please hit that Q&A button, ask the question, and our team will get around as quickly as we can. We've got a lot to demonstrate in the next 45 minutes, but if we have time, we'll take some live questions at the end. And I guess we might just get started, TJ. So guys, we're not going to spend a lot of time in the slide deck. There's so much to present, but I just wanted to reiterate that Console Cloud is the most comprehensive system in market. We have solutions to help you manage your tradies, your tenants, your owners, and we've got some really great capability that we're building that's going to allow you to add more types of properties to your property portfolio and manage them in a more streamlined manner. We want to help you work smarter and faster. So some of the things we're going to demonstrate today, especially on the smart side, is how we are helping you to make more money, not lose any income, find those little gems of information that can help you grow your business with our Insights Pro. And just on the working smarter side or working faster side, we're going to actually talk about how we're building our commercial module, how we're linking up really important parts of our system, like our payments with our direct debit system and our workflows, to streamline your processes. So a lot to go through. Commercial, we're going to talk about our holiday partners and what's in development there. You're going to see Maitenance Pro, how we're streamlining that maintenance workflow. And I'll just touch on what we said we would deliver. So our Q2 roadmap, when we were here last time, this is the promise we made to market. Again, our 3 buckets: advanced trust accounting, workflows, and core system functionality. A massive investment for our business over the past 6 months, based on your feedback, has been around our commercial module. So we've continued to invest in that, and we'll be going into beta next month, and we're going to give you a bit of a demonstration of that. Console Pay, which really streamlines the collection of your rental payments and helps you to reduce your arrears. We've added that capability in more parts of the system. Maitenance Pro, again, just bringing maintenance into the system so that you don't have to go to a third-party site. We've streamlined that process. We've made it digital from end to end, so you don't have to handle pieces of paper, manage it on email. We've brought it all into a single system, and again, just helping you to work smarter in those respects. Inspections, we released Console Go Inspect late last calendar year. I'm actually going to go and look at some of the really great capability that we're adding into that inspections capability to streamline how you manage, especially your entry inspections. Insights Plus, hopefully this blows you guys away. We're really excited to demo how we're going to help you make more money. We've continued to make multiple UX improvements. We've started the journey on our property advertising workflow. So we'll be showing you today how you can create your listing and prepare to push it to REA, which is the first portal we've chosen. We have some other portals that will quickly follow. And finally, we'll run through our partner list and where our various partners are at. So let's get into it, TJ.
Thanks, Matt. I'm just going to get my screen set up here. Let me just minimize this and turn off the video as well. All right, so first we're going to take a look at what we've been doing around the trust accounting space. As Matt mentioned, we've been working heavily on commercial and also looking at improving the way you manage your payments as well as pending payments. Now, we do know that currently trending on user suggestions, pending payments, and improvements to that is the #1 requested thing. So the way we're going to address that is through our new bills workflow, which allows you to now manage and track all your bills in one screen. So what we're seeing right now is the new bills list under the accounting section. And you can see here, I've got a number of bills already added in the system. You can easily filter this list by portfolio now. So you can view all bills across all portfolios or just under your own. You can see all bills that are due as well as bills that are paid. And there's also a search bar there to allow you to quickly search for a particular bill by creditor or property address. Now you can see I've got a number of bills here and a lot of information presented to me. I can see the available balance, and we are actually combining the owner's balances across multiple properties here. So you'll see a combined balance, especially if you have situations with owners that have multiple properties. So you can still pay off these bills if sufficient funds are available. And you can also see the due date, which you can sort by most recent to oldest bill. Let's take a look at one of these bills in a bit more detail. So we've got the actual invoice PDF on the screen there, on the right, on left hand in the middle, and on the right hand side, you can see information about this bill, whether it's been on charge to a tenant. And on charging is very easy. There's a way to charge this onto the tenant. And we know that majority of the bills that come in, to your office these days would be on charge to your tenant. So we just made that easier now to include that process into the bills workflow.
Yeah, that's a good point, TJ. We built it into the payment screen for water initially, and now we've added it for all bills. So yeah, it's about 50% from our data, about 50% of the bills that come into the system are then subsequently on charge. So it's just making it smarter, putting it in one place, and instead of having to print things out, resend things, create things in a different screen, we've made it all a really simple workflow.
That's right. I'm going to actually show you how easy it is now to add a bill. So I've got a Sydney Water Corporation bill here I'm going to import. You can also drag and drop them. Now we've implemented FlashScan into this process. So it's analyzing the bill and it's reading the information off it, and it's pre-filled all these fields for me, just like it does currently in the payments process. So we've implemented that step in this bills workflow as well. So saving you time. All I have to do now is put in a description, which will go ahead. It's pre-filled the amounts for me. And something that's new is we're also incorporating a bill payments commission as well, which you can set up in agency fees and console in the settings section and apply them to your management agreements. So in this case, I can choose to charge or not charge this fee at the time of processing this bill.
So TJ, an important part, it's picked that fee up because that fee is on this owner's management agreement.
That's correct. And because this property is also water efficient, I can now on charge this bill to the tenant in this one step. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, one thing that's currently in development is using FlashScan in this step here to pre-fill the water consumption details, which is currently there in the payment screen. So that's something that we are working on and will be added. So right now it hasn't pre-filled those fields for me, but let's say it has. We can now include the attachment and do things like hide off sections of this invoice so it doesn't appear to the tenant. And we can then create and send this by email. Now, in this step here, we've also implemented Console Pay to allow you to direct debit this invoice payment in this one screen. And you can see any instructions that you've set up in Console Pay, which we're going to take a look at a little bit later. But this is where you can actually charge the invoice payment at the time of creating.
I think it's a really good example on how we're just tying these elements of the system together just to make your life more easier at this really important part of your role.
That's right. And by incorporating all the tenant invoicing, everything in one place, you don't have to go into separate screens to do that anymore. It's all done within this one screen.
So TJ, probably just also worth mentioning, we'll be demonstrating Maintenance Pro a little bit later in this demo, but Maintenance Pro invoices will also just directly come into this screen.
That's right. And if you have any maintenance requests, you'll see that they're actually tagged to the maintenance request. This one doesn't have the maintenance request associated with it, but you'll see there's a link there so you can quickly associate it with it. All right, so that's the bills workflow. So next we're going to take a look at something that's very exciting that's coming up, which is Console Chat. I'm going to hand over to Matt to talk about this one.
Thanks, TJ. So in a COVID world, guys, we had a lot of people move to Console Cloud. And one of the really important things that we wanted to assist you guys with is to help you better collaborate around a property and collaborate around your day-to-day work. We're in a world now where not everyone is in the office at the same time. So this was actually something that came out of our hack day, and our engineers put some really great thought into this. And we're calling it Console Chat. And what Console Chat allows me to do is it allows me to see who else is online. So you can see up the top. At the moment, it's just TJ and myself. And I've got the screen open over here. And what I can do is I'm at home and I'm struggling with a particular problem. I can actually share a screen with TJ and just ask him to look at it and ask for some advice. So I'm just about to do that right now.
And what you're seeing on the screen right now is I'm logged in as myself, and I should see Matt's message come through very shortly. And you can also see the full history of all the conversations that's happened so far today. As you can see, we've both been very busy. And I'm not sure if you heard that, but there's a little ping that just notified me that a new message has come through. So I can see that Matt's put my name there. Can you please help me with this owner's question? And he's giving me a link there to the page to open it up. So I can click on this link, which is actually the same page that I've got open up right now. So you can see that it brings me up to this page.
Yeah.
And I can provide, we've got emojis covered, so we can put that in there as well and hit send. And he'll get a notification. And
yeah, look, guys. So it's a really small thing. It's to help you collaborate. It's a tool that we'll look to continue to invest in the future. At Console, we have our own communication channels like this, and I'd say generally with everybody working from home, it's become a really important medium for us to collaborate around the work that we're conducting. So we wanted to build something very similar for you. This is the start of the journey. As you can see, it's in the product. It's clever, and we've got some additional things that we'll be adding to that in the future.
That's right. We'll be releasing this into beta very soon. So if you're interested in getting access to this, ping us in the chat, and we can make sure that we get your details. All right. So next, we're going to take a look at what we're doing around commercial.
Thanks, TJ. Look, guys, regardless of whether you're using, or if you have a commercial portfolio today or not, one thing we are noticing in our data and in the information from our clients is more and more of our agencies, and especially our successful and fastest growing agencies, are looking to diversify their portfolios. Obviously, historically, we've been a residential first type platform. We do manage some commercial properties. We've decided to really double down on what we've built today and make this the #1 commercial platform in market. This will be going into beta in March, and what we're going to show you is this, where we are today. So this is our commercial module. These are all my commercial properties. You can see them. You can see my commercial workflows, or my workflows related to these commercial properties. I can dive in, and I'm actually looking at a building level report here. So this is a building that has properties associated with it. Very similar to Gateway or RPO. We have that hierarchy of property types. But at this level, what I can see is I can see the outgoings for that building, the budget, what's been invoiced, what's been received. And I can see the properties, the status of those properties within that building, the square meterage, the percentage liability for your outgoings. And we'll be using this to help amortize outgoings across properties within a building, and the monthly rent for each of those buildings. And naturally, you can just drill down into the commercial property itself. And for those of you who are on Console Cloud today, you'll know that you'll be able to, it's a very familiar screen. It looks like the property screen with a few additional smarts. So I'll just add a tenancy to this commercial property and just call out a few highlights. So already in our product, you can create recurring rent invoices for your commercial properties. You can also generate recurring monthly outgoings. It's really important. And I just want to call out the bonds. So these are your commercial bond options, whether it's held in trust, whether it's an interest-bearing deposit, whether it's held externally. This all gets saved to the commercial property record. A couple of other great things. Obviously, this is very similar to the Resi stuff. So, setting up your inspection schedule, Console Pay. Obviously, commercial properties have a different rent review process. So, often these leases will be multi-year. So you can actually go and create a rent schedule. Every year, you can put a date, how the rent will be increased, whether it's fixed percentage, whether it's based on CPI, and you can add multiple lines of that for your commercial properties. And we'll show you how to apply those rent reviews in this demo. So as you can see, I've added those details. I've created a tenancy on that property. Has all the information you'd expect. So, where that tenancy is currently up to, what's available for disbursement, the weekly rent, whether they're in arrears, the bond information, insurance and compliance information. And this is one of the screens that you can filter those commercial properties on. So I've gone and created some quarterly CPI increases. And if I click on one of these, this is how I can update my rent reviews. So it'll pick up the property, and it'll pick up that it's due for a rent review in that cycle, and you can see where rent reviews have been applied for that quarter. You can manually override those, or you can update them at your discretion. And that's really where we are today with our commercial properties. So as I mentioned, we'll be going to beta with this program very, very soon. We've got a lot of beta clients lined up. If you'd like to be part of our beta release, please just ping us on the Q&A and we'll add you to that list. But commercial properties, again, whether you're managing them today or you're thinking about managing them in the future, we're confident that Console Cloud will give you the best residential and commercial experience in market.
That's great. Thanks, Matt. So next, we're going to take a look at something that's pretty exciting, which is paperless inspections. So as all of you know, we released Console Go Inspect at the end of the last quarter. And as part of our ongoing commitment to adding more features and improving the offering, we're looking at now adding paperless inspections capability to Console Go Inspect. What does that mean for you? It just means that you can now do your entry inspections completely end-to-end without having to print any reports, email them, or even digitally, manually sign them. Everything's done digitally.
I think that's an important point, TJ. Most of you online today will be using, our current app or an alternative app. This is really about taking what's a manual process that requires you to print off reports, and especially an entry, which has lots of photos based on the number of photos we're seeing you guys take at entry inspections. Send that to your tenant for agreement manually. Bring that back and then send it, maintain a record of that. We've taken that manual process and we've fully digitized it. So TJ will demonstrate that now.
Yep.
But it's a really big deal. And again, it's about helping you to work faster and work smarter.
That's right. So what I'm going to do right now is just show you how this works. So I'm logged into Console Cloud. I'm in the inspections workflow right now. I'm just going to create an entry inspection for today. And in reality, you'd probably do this inspection using the Console Go Inspect app, but I'll just quickly populate an inspection very quickly so we can see how this works. You've probably seen this before. I can actually copy details and comments and photos from last inspections. Let me just do one take one from yesterday. So we're now preparing the condition report. Now imagine for a moment that we've carried out the inspection on site using the Go Inspect app. In cloud, I can now review this report. I can update the comments if I need to, add in additional photos. And in the top right corner, we've got a complete button that you can now click on. And by completing this inspection in cloud, you're basically changing the status to say that it's now inspected. And you can also consent to adding your signature to the bottom of the report. So you can see it's going to add my full name there to the bottom of the condition report. So the digital signature has now been added to the report and the inspection is completed. I can now share this with the tenant in this next step. So we're going to click share. I can basically share this report with the tenant using the Console Tenant app, and they'll be invited to use the Console Tenant app to view this report. We can change the date from when this report needs to be due by. So let's pick this Friday. And you'll also note that once you share the report, you can't actually edit it. So that's something to keep note of. Now it's already selected the appropriate template to use in this case, and which you can fully customize. And here's an example of what the tenant will receive by email, just asking them to go into the tenant app to view this report. So let's imagine for a moment that we've sent this report now to the tenant, and we'll now look at what the tenant experience will look like. So you probably have seen this before. This is the tenant app. And right now I'm logged into the tenant and I can see that there's an inspection there that I need to review. So let's go ahead and review this now. So these are the things that the tenant can now do. They can read some instructions. So by tapping on about this report, they can view some instructions there on how to carry out this inspection. And then in each area, they can review the details in the comments and as well as any photos that the property manager took at the time of the inspection. And all the tenant has to do now is either agree or disagree with what's been provided. Now, if they disagree, they have to provide additional information such as a comment and additional photos before they can proceed to the next area.
So at the moment, guys, this is being done manually. Your tenants are going in and, basically scribbling on a piece of paper. This is fully digitizing that experience for them, keeping track of every step.
Yep. That's right. As the tenant completes each room, they'll get a little tick box and they can proceed to the next one and carry out the whole inspection themselves. We've also got an extra information section here, which is something that we've added depending on each state. So in this example here in New South Wales, recently additional information is now captured on the condition report, which we're now capturing as well in Console Go Inspect. So provided that the PM or the user has actually filled in this information, the tenant can review all this and choose if they agree or disagree. Once again, if they disagree, they have to provide reasons. So that's just New South Wales. And once everything's completed, they can hit the complete button at the bottom. And this is where we capture their signature on the condition report. So they can tick the little tick box to confirm the signature is going to be added. And it gets sent. And the report is then finalized and emailed back or sent back to Console Cloud, which can then be issued back to the tenant and as well as to the owner. Now, the last step that we can't show you today is what it looks like for the owner's point of view. They'll be able to view this report in HTML page, just in a very professional looking format. So it showcases the work that you've done for them.
I think that's a really important point, TJ. Look, inspections are a really valuable touch point between you and your owners. And we've tried to make that experience really seamless and actually, present your business in a really positive light to your owners so that they can see the results of the work that you're carrying out on their behalf. So that's the next step will be to build the owner view of that report, and it will be part of Console Owner, our owner portal.
That's right. And we're looking forward to releasing this at the end of this quarter. All right, so next we're going to take a look at our new advertising workflow, and I'll hand over to Matt for this one.
Thanks, TJ. So guys, really excited to show some of the work that we've completed to date here. So I'm in my Console Cloud instance and I'm on my property. What you will notice is a new link that will appear for advertising, but I've gone and done a couple of other things first. If I just click on my photos, you'll notice that there's a couple of new sections appearing here. So the cover photo is the photo that will appear on the owner portal. It'll also appear as the property photo in your property list. These photos are where I can add photos for my advertising. So what I want to push to the portals. Now I've uploaded a whole bunch of photos here. You can resort them. And this will affect the carousel of photos that we push to the portal. You can also add your floor plans and you can save. Actually, let me just get that back open. Just to show you, you can actually go in live and update these photos as well.
Yep, go to pictures.
There's pictures, yeah. Let's put another house in there. So I can update those photos, delete them, move them, do whatever I like. I'll just close that down. Now I'll just click on this link, my advertising link. It opens up my drawers. And this is where I can add in my advertising information and my copy. So my headline, I can add in my description. I can choose whether I want to display my full address or my suburban state only, the availability of that property, the rental amount and frequency, whether I want to display the price and bond. And we've already gone and added a couple of video links that we can push to the portal. You also want to put up your open for inspection schedule. So I've just added a couple. You can add some more if you choose. You can remove them. And these will also appear on the portal. And then you can come here. And this is where you manage the status. So at the moment, we've only got our REA linked. I can tick that box and maintain the status, and that will be pushed to the portal. So that's where we are today, guys. We're going into beta. We've got a few customers who are keen to help us try out this first portal, just make sure we've got everything working well. As you update these statuses, we want to make sure that, the status on the portal is also updated.
That's right. And as everything that we do in Console, we release things in stages. The first stage is to push residential listings, rental listings rather, to the portals. And then phase 2, which will be in the next quarter, will be for sales and commercial listings.
So guys, there's a real theme that we're moving down, and it's about bringing everything into a single platform. We want you not working in spreadsheets, not working in multiple systems, not having to cross key information. It's all about these clever integrations that just allow you to manage everything from one system.
Speaking of clever integrations, let's take a look at Console Pay. So Console Pay, as you guys know, is our fully integrated and fully automated payment solution that we've integrated and built into Console Cloud. And the way it works, just to recap, is you set up your tenants with direct debits, and each month, or each day rather, you go into your bulk receiving screen, and any cleared funds will automatically be imported into this list. So you don't have to manually receipt anything. Any cleared funds from the tenant that's been taken as direct debit will appear in this list. And all you have to do is just receipt them by clicking that button.
Everything is matched as well, whether it's a rental payment or an invoice payment. And TJ will go through and show how those things are created now.
That's right. So we've implemented Console Pay into the tenant, entire tenant lifecycle. So from creating a new tenancy, so I'll pick a property here that doesn't have a tenant, and I'll show you how we've done that. So this property doesn't have a new tenancy at the moment. So let's go ahead and add in a new tenant. Let's put in a quick reference there. Let's pick, I'll change the date to sometime in the future so it doesn't overlap with anything I might have already. And let's say the tenant is paying $500 a week in this case. And hit save. Would you believe it, there's an actually lease that overlaps this period. Let's go back to a different region.
Might want to jump into a tenant that you've already created.
Let's do that. So we'll go into a tenant that's already there, that's set up. What I was about to show you is the very last step is where you set up Console Pay. And what that looks like is basically you go into, you get a screen similar to this, and you can set up their payment details like so. And you can also schedule their bond payments as well as the initial rent. Now,
and any deposit as well.
Any deposit as well. That's right. So in this case, I've got a tenant already set up. Now from here, rather than having to go into a different portal to manage this tenant, I can do everything in this one place. I can change their rental amounts. So for instance, if there's a rent increase coming up, I can make that change in here. So let's say, for example, this tenant's rent is going up to $550, and we can make the change as of tomorrow. Once I hit save, and if we go now to the upcoming payment screen, you'll see that all my future payments should have changed. Must have done something wrong there. And then the next thing you can also do is set up your invoice payment preferences. So in this case, Console Pay is being used to charge all my invoices. You can edit that at any time. And you can also put a note here, which is what appears when you on charge any bills to the tenant and they have Console Pay selected for payment.
And look, this was some feedback from our existing Console Pay customers. You know, for those annoying little bills that are sub $100, generally the tenants are happy to pay those by direct debit, but be invoiced and pay on by EFT for some of those bigger payments. So it's just a little prompt. TJ's going to go into the tenant invoice screen now and just show you, like, when you actually generate the invoice, how Cloud knows that tenant is willing to pay by direct debit, and just to give you that little prompt so you can make the decision whether to proceed and schedule a direct debit or just untick that and, you know, let payment be made through some other means.
That's right. So we'll just quickly drag and drop a bill very quickly. And let's just change this really quickly. Actually, we'll pick this property. That's fine. Hit next. And on charge that bill. Should have done it in one step. And you'll see now we can schedule this payment by direct debit. Select the tenant, and you'll see the note that you set up at the tenancy level appearing there. So another way that we've also implemented Console Pay into the workflow is when you're renewing your leases. So let's take a look at an example here. So we've got a property or a tenancy that's coming up for a lease renewal for 143 King Mays. Now this tenant is also set up with Console Pay. Previously, once you finalize the lease, you then have to go into the tenant's record and update their Console Pay settings. Whereas right now, when you finalize the lease, the system is smart enough to know that this is a Console Pay enabled tenant, and I can automatically adjust their pay schedule based on the new rent amounts. So currently it's $500 a month, a week. Yep, a week. And the new amount is going up to 1,000. Quite a high increase there. And then the last place that we've implemented Console Pay is into the vacate flow. So if you have a tenant that's now leaving a property, you can, as part of this step, now remove their Console Pay settings so they don't get accidentally charged direct debit, once they're no longer a tenant. And also when you finalize this vacate, you'll just be reminded that there's an active Console Payer currently enabled and you can remove it.
So guys, you don't have to go into your notes. You don't have to, this is all kept up to date for you. You're prompted when you need to be prompted. One of the other workflows that we have also implemented Console Pay into is our rent arrears workflow. And really what it does there is it just stops any automated reminders being taken or sent when it knows that a Console Pay payment has been taken and waiting to be cleared. So again, it's really clever use of technology. So you're not scouring the screens to try and find out where things are up to. We're putting the right prompts in the right place to streamline your day.
That's right. And Console Pay it's pretty much a set and forget rental payment system. So it reduces your arrears and also improves your cash flow within the business, as well as increasing your owner's satisfaction. All right, so next we're going to take a look at Maitenance Pro, which is a very comprehensive workflow that digitizes the whole maintenance experience. So from creating the request from the tenant's point of view to getting the request as a PM and then sending it off to the tradee, that whole experience is now captured within Console Cloud. So we're going to switch to Matt's phone now so he can show us what the tenant's experience will look like. And then I'll show you what the property manager experience will look like, and then we can go through the rest of the flow. So we've got Matt's phone visible there on the screen.
Thanks, TJ. As you guys are probably noticing, and I just wanted to call it out, the tenant app is becoming an integral part of the Console Cloud ecosystem. Not only will it help and provide value to your tenants, so you can see down here, we've got this little $sign. It's so your tenants can keep up to date with their rental receipts and invoice receipts. They can also make payment from this screen. They can also self-serve, view their agreement. But for this part of the demonstration, we're just going to click on the spanner and actually add a maintenance request. So I'm just going to come in here. Now it's going to authenticate me in. One of the changes that we've made in this screen is as you step through this process, or as the tenant steps through the process, the system might actually make recommendations for them to triage a potential maintenance request. An example would be my hot water system's not working, and this little triage process will actually step me through and suggest maybe I should go and check the pilot light before I submit this maintenance request. So not only does it streamline your work, it also will help you avoid work in the future or unnecessary back and forth between you and the tenant.
Yeah, and just ensuring that only the most urgent requests actually come through the system.
So we're going to go for our most favorite maintenance request, which is our leaky roof. And it's asking me a lot of questions, and these questions help provide context to the tradie when the tradie gets the job. Roof is leaking. I can add a photo, which I'll do. And it's just asking me if I'm happy to, let my agency give the keys to the tradesperson to come and fix this problem, which I am. Now, because we're in a demonstration account, TJ will pick this job up from another property, but that request now goes through to Console Cloud, straight into Maitenance Pro. And as a tenant, and the benefit for me as a tenant of this system is I can actually stay up to date on where that job is through this screen. So I can see as things move. I don't have to contact the property manager. The property manager doesn't have to circle back around to me, keeping me updated. I can see what's happening through the process.
Thanks,
I'll just stop mirroring.
Yep. And we're just going to jump now into Maitenance Pro so you can see what that looks like. So I've got Maitenance Pro open, and you can see that there's a new request that's come through. So we can click on the request. So just for a moment, this is the property manager now carrying out the rest of the workflow. So I can review the request that the tenant created today. I can see the description that the tenant provided and also see any photos that they took as well. Now from here, I can do a number of things. I can actually process this job and send it off to the landlord for their review. So in case we need their approval to carry out this job, I can send it off to them. So we're now requesting the owner for approval. So that's now going to send an email to the owner with a link to this job to review and provide their comments. Now I'll switch to my inbox so you can see what that looks like from the owner's perspective. So here's an example of an email the owner would have received, just letting them know that there's a new maintenance request requiring their attention. And they can click on this link to either approve or reject the request. Now, just bear in mind, I didn't actually send that previous request through, so this is a different job here. But the owner can view the job and either approve or provide additional responses there. So let's go ahead and approve this one and send that through.
Probably just worth noting, TJ, there that if they do want to request quotes and we send that job out for quotes, when that email comes back, it will actually present the quotes back to the owner to make a choice.
That's correct. So we just skipped that part just to speed this up. So you can see on the under the owner responses there's a new response that's come through. And that's the job that the owner has just provided the responses to. So we can now allocate this to our tradespeople. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll hit confirm. So now we are allocating the job to our tradespeople, and we can select from our list of tradies. Can't see the screen here. Let's move that other way. Let's go there. Process, accept for allocation. All right, so we've got my trades currently selected, and I can see the list of all my tradies currently in the screen here.
So I will just point out, TJ, just on this screen, as part of your upgrade to Maintenance Pro, we'll bring across your top 20 trades and any other trades you might want to bring across. But to get you started, we generally bring across the top 20, and you'll also have access to a pool of 70,000 trades if there's a trades type that you mightn't have within your database. So you'll be able to see their reviews, you'll be able to interact with them, request quotes, all of that good stuff. So it's actually giving you more value as well to your agency. And these are trades who use Maintenance Pro as well.
That's right. So you can view things like their profile, you can view the licensing and insurance details all from this one screen. So we're going to pick Handy Andy as our tradesperson for this job. So a handyman, and save. Now the system's going to send a bunch of emails to the owner, to the tenant, as well as to the tradie, just to let them know that this job has been allocated. So we're going to just skip this very quickly. So this is the tenant message that you can customize this content, by the way. So you can say we've already made contact with the tenant. This does update the job status in the tenant app, so the tenant can see when the tradie has been allocated. So let's skip that as well. Now the tradesperson will receive this job in the tradie version of Maintenance Pro. So there's a separate portal for them. So we won't be able to go into that, but once they've accessed the job, they can then liaise with the tenant, organize for the job to be carried out. Once it's completed, we will have a new notification here for any invoices that the tradie has sent back. So you can see now there's an invoice there that's been sent through by the tradie in this case and is waiting our approval. So we can see this, it was completed by Handy Andy today, and there's also an invoice attached. Now, to view it, I can just click on this attachment here, and that's the invoice. So let's just go back to the invoice approval for a minute. We can invite the tenant to actually review this request and make sure that the tradie carry out the job correctly. So we can send a link to the tenant to review this invoice approval. And what the tenant will see, I'll just jump back into my emails. They will get a link, an email link that looks like this, just asking them to review anything that the tradie completed. So you can see the tenant will have access to this portal, and they'll be able to see any jobs that were carried out by the tradesperson, and they can confirm whether it was completed or not. And they can provide their commentary as well.
And this is just an optional step in the process.
That's right. If this invoice is ready to be processed and approved, we can click on the little thumbs up, which allows me now to view any photos that the tradie took as they completed the job, as well as the actual invoice. So all we have to do now is just confirm the invoice number is correct and confirm that the amount there is indeed correct and hit confirm. Now, what's going to happen now, it's going to email the owner and the tradesperson to notify them that the invoice has been approved.
So just keeping everybody up to date.
That's right. Meanwhile, back in the bills workflow, we'll go into accounts bills. We should see that bill come in ready to be processed, like so. So we can see the job has come through and it's been approved. So all we have to do now is just pay the bill, as well as you can on-charge this off to the tenant in case it needs to be charged at this stage.
So guys, this is an end-to-end process now. It's fully digitized. You're not managing paper. You're not managing email. You're not managing attachments. The system is keeping a record of every step of the process with a full audit log of the job.
That's it. And also when you pay off this invoice, it closes off the maintenance request. So that one-click approval just simplifies things a lot easier. Okay, so that's Maintenance Pro. So the last thing we'll take a look at is something that we think will supercharge your monthly management meetings, and that's using Insights Pro. So we'll switch back to my main office and go into Insights. Now, for those of you that are not across this, Insights is something that we've been working on for the past year, and we've broken it up into two main areas. We've got KPI and operational reports, as well as some financial reports under Insights and Reports. And very soon, we will be releasing our Pro reports, which is basically our first step into giving you reports that allow you to grade your rent roll. So we can do that across these three dimensions. The first one is identifying any properties that are currently under rented, and that's via this rental rates report. The second one is benchmarking your arrears against other similar agencies using Console Cloud. And lastly, just giving you analysis of how much time you're spending per property versus the revenue, potential revenue, to see if there's any revenue leakage against on your rent roll. Now you can see here, I've actually enabled something called Office Rollup because I have access to multiple offices, and that could be because I'm a head office outfit with multiple branch offices. I can enable Office Rollup, which means I can view these reports as well as all these other reports across multiple offices, which is great for some of you large offices out there. So let's take a look at the first rental rates report. Now, what you'll see first is, well, first of all, I'll just draw your attention to this office filter over here. So you can see I'm filtering information across multiple offices in this case, and we can narrow that down to an individual office or a couple, for instance. Let's just pick those two. And you can see my dashboards are now updated. I can see the total number of properties across all my offices. And the first thing we're doing over here is just giving you a quick health check on the status of the data capture with your properties. Now you can see the majority of my properties actually don't have bedroom, bathroom, and car space information captured at the property level, which means that any meaningful comparisons are going to be hard down here. So the first step would be to make sure that your properties actually have all these attributes entered within the property pages, which allows us to then do comparisons between the properties of the similar type.
So the first step is to get those to zero.
That's right. And then you'll see these numbers probably make more sense. So you can see I've got 132 properties that currently are considered low rental rates, which means I need to go and review them to see if they're set up incorrectly, first of all, and if they're on the right rental payments for the areas they're in. We can also see any properties that have low commission rates, which could be a highlighter for you in case you've acquired a new rent roll or merged an existing rent roll, and they had a different fee structure. So that's a good way to identify those properties.
So this is just helping you guys work smarter. These are conversation starters so that you can start looking at this information and evaluating whether any change in either your processes need to occur, or when that PMA, you might want to review that property management agreement with that owner.
That's right.
And change some of the schedule of fees.
Yeah. And we've got some interactive pie charts over here that allow you to narrow down and filter this list even further. So for instance, if I want to see all the properties that are currently low rent, I can click on this section over here, which updates this list down here, which I can then export at any time into Excel or save as a PDF and take it into my monthly management meetings. And similarly, you can also review your fee commissions as well to make sure that you're not missing out on fees that you should be collecting. So this is just one way that we can give you that analysis. The second one is arrears. So let's take a look at that one. We've shown this off before, but for those of you that are seeing this for the first time, we're now doing aggregated arrears calculations based on multiple offices. So in this case, I've got several offices, and you can also see which offices have rental arrears automation enabled or not enabled. So in this case, my main office doesn't have arrears turned on, but my other offices do. And that's probably going to influence my arrears dashboards below.
The data shows that that's the case, TJ. People with auto arrears workflow enabled
Yep.
manage their arrears significantly better than people who do not have it enabled. And this is a report that will actually highlight to your agency where you sit compared to similar types of agencies, both in the country, in the state, in your local area.
That's exactly right. So you can see there my ranking is actually quite low. So the higher the number, the lower your ranking in this case. And you can also see how that's changed over time, which is a good way to see, for example, if any strategies that you implemented are actually making a difference. If you've hired someone that's focusing on just managing arrears, or you've implemented direct debit using Console Pay, and you see these arrears drop, that means those strategies are actually working. And as Matt mentioned, you can see that across all known agencies and also by state. And you can also break it down by portfolio. So you can see which of your portfolios have arrears that are, that are below average or poor.
Yeah,
exactly. And finally, you can see a full list here that you can export if you need to take this to have those conversations with your staff. And then the last report that we'll take a look at is probably what I find the most interesting. It's something that our data scientists in-house have created to help principals identify properties where the work required to manage them is not cost effective. So you can see right now we've got all my offices being included in this aggregate. And I've got a large number of properties that are considered uneconomic, which means basically they are not cost effective at this stage. I'm spending a lot of time working on these properties.
So let's just unpack that a little bit, TJ. Yes. So in the background, Console Cloud is looking at your interactions at a property level and assigning a score to that property. As well as doing that, like that's what we call our work score. As well as doing that, we can pick up the income that that property is generating, and we're making a couple of observations in the data. Now, again, these are talking points for your business to go in and look at these properties and work out whether they're undercharged, whether additional, activity fees could possibly be charged to make them economic, or whether there's activities that you should automate to reduce your workload on that property. So the idea is, our end state that we want to get to is we want to be able to give you from top to bottom your most profitable properties to your least profitable properties. And that's what TJ was referring to when he said grading your rent roll.
That's right. Just to give you an example of what Matt was saying. So here's some pie charts that show you a breakdown of where your properties sit in terms of work or effort. So high work properties are presented in this list over here. And you can see that, as Matt mentioned, we actually apply a score, a work score to each one. And that score is based on how many times you go in and send a manual arrears message by SMS, or each time you go into that property or management agreement and charge a manual fee, for instance. Each of those interactions gets added to the score. And there's ways that you can reduce the score by adding things like arrears automation and automated fees and so on. And we can apply the same sort of dimension on income. We can calculate how much in revenue has been received for this property or income for that entire month. And all this is done on a monthly basis. So as Matt mentioned, it's just a way for you to have those conversations with your staff members to identify properties that are probably or potentially not profitable.
And this is how we're helping your agencies to work smarter. It's one, obviously there's two themes here, guys. We want you to work faster. We want you to use the automation and the workflow tools that we've built into Console Cloud. But we also want to give you insight into how you can grow the profitability of your agency, which is a key part of our value proposition.
Thanks, Matt. So that actually concludes the demonstration part. So we're just going to go back to our presentation so Matt can tell you what's coming up next.
Thanks, TJ. So we're a month into Q3, and I'll just go through these really quickly. Advanced commercial continues to be a focus. We have a lot of really great capability that we're continuing to build into the platform. Obviously, we go to beta next month, and we're going to continue to invest in this product until July. Our advanced workflows, we've got some more capability that we want to build into those bill workflows just to continue to make it simpler, and help you manage your payments. Our arrears workflow, invoice arrears workflow. So we've got our rental arrears workflow. TJ mentioned that payments is number 1 on our feedback list. Arrears, invoice arrears is number 2. I'm actually going to give you guys a sneak peek of that just after this this quick little run through. Paperless inspections will be wrapping up this quarter. We are moving in with our partners into holiday. So we're building out that holiday integration. We demonstrated in the spring into summer webinar just before Christmas, but we are looking to bring SMS replies back into Console Cloud as well as emails. And we'll be adding additional portals and additional ability to push properties to your website in our advertising workflow. So I'm going to quickly just duck out of this and show you our invoice arrears. Screen. This is what it looks like. So all of those using Console Cloud will be familiar with our arrears workflow. We're actually adding an additional invoice arrears. So you can filter your list by those things that are invoice arrears. And we're adding some smart, reminder and follow-up messaging specific for invoices. So because invoices have a date, a due date, we can actually message people before the invoice is to be paid, just as a reminder. And you can do that with SMS or email, and you have full control over the templating of those messages. And then you can have some follow-up items there. So it's about moving all of the invoice arrears from I'll just turn that on, for example. You can see that's my automated schedule that will be executed. Very similar to my rent. And we are looking to update that screen. I'll just see if I can bring it across so that it's a part of a drawer and you get some really rich information about that property. So you can see that they're in rent arrears, the number of reminders that have been sent, payments, also that they've got some invoice arrears. You can see their total amount in arrears. So just making that information a little bit more rich, as well as balancing rent and invoice. So you no longer have to go back to the tenancy invoice screen. It'll all be managed here. We'll have automated reminders and it'll simplify that process for you going forward.
And this will be across both property types, isn't it, Matt?
It will be, resi and commercial. And guys, that actually concludes, actually I will just bring up this screen. I just want to give a big shout out to our partners. They really help us round out our product. And you'll see that we've got some up here for both Australia and New Zealand. Some of these are well known. So Maintenance Manager, Moving Hub, Fast Connect, Forms Live, Deft, Console Pay. These are all been live for quite some time. On the inspection side, we also have 2 of our very valuable partners, Property Inspection Manager and Inspection Manager. And just going into beta is Snug. So we've actually got people live today in beta with our integration with Snug. If you're managing property compliance, we have PCA. If you're in New Zealand, we also have tenancy.co.nz about to go into beta to manage those tenancy applications. And we've got some other partners who are currently completing the work to come live shortly. So a big thank you to our partners. And that really rounds out our presentation, guys. That's a quarter's worth of work. It's been, really, really busy quarter, obviously over Christmas as well. We demonstrated a lot. I really encourage you to do your refresher courses on Nebula. As we continue to roll out new functionality, we do update those videos, KBs, and little mini exams. So great place to go, get refreshed, get familiar with some of this product, because we really believe it's going to help your business to work smarter and faster. We've gone over time, guys, but if you want to jump onto Insiders, we'll have some more information available there about the webinar. We'll be posting this link within the next 24 hours if you want to watch the webinar again. We're going to stay online while our team answers some more outstanding questions. Thanks, guys. We're looking forward to coming back in 3 months' time.
Thanks, guys.